Talk to me a little bit about your expectations around these two players in particular. Of course, Doc 7, perhaps the most surprising was the fact that he was shut out so convincingly in his opening game. He's playing Floowandareeze.
Yeah.
He's obviously a very prolific player. It's going to be really interesting to see if this game will go better for him than the previous. I'm looking over at Diegub as well, and of course, you know, he's playing against Floowandareeze, which is going to be an interesting one.
No, exactly, especially because both players unfortunately lost their first match, but now I think Doc 7 with this start, I think must be very happy about that, because basically he gets the map on the field, and Floowandareeze is a very powerful deck, especially because you get the chance to have very good interruptions, such as the Barrier Statue of the Stormwinds, which is, I think, the key card of the deck.
Yeah, the key card, but also kind of the end of the combo. Once you have that out, it is the it's kind of the lockdown.
And what it really focuses, I think, is either having on the field the Floowandareeze Endpen, which here it is, and or the Rise of the Mega Monarch. Overall, as you mentioned, sometimes if you're able to pass on the Barrier Statue of the Stormwind, sometimes it's the last play of your turn, or otherwise you really go for the Empen, which I think it's very, very good card.
And as you mentioned, both these players starting off the day with a loss in their first match does mean the pressure is on a bit, because while you can still pretty convincingly escape the group with a record of 2-1, it's a little bit more daunting to lose your first two matches and then have to hope that something else goes similarly wrong for the other members of your group.
Exactly. And here we got the chance to seeing Ash Blossom being activated by Diegub, but still the Empen hits the field. This is super powerful because basically you get another normal summon. And what I really like about this start is basically the advantage that you get with the magnificent map. The Floowandareeze deck in general is very powerful going first, because basically you are able to set up the Arpis Feather Storm.
Floowandareeze and Dreaming Town, though, that's a very difficult one to get over.
And basically it's a very good interruption. And what I really like about the deck is the Arpis Feather Storm, which is, I think, it's the most powerful trap card of the deck.
Yeah, and of course the fact that it interacts so fantastically with the winged beasts of the Floowandareeze.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I mean, the card itself is amazing, honestly, and interacts so well with all the engine itself. Now, Diegub is not having an easy time, because basically, just mentioned, the Arpis Feather Storm is there.
There we go. Yep.
And basically, this will prevent the Madolche activation. And the Arpis Feather Storm, I think, is one of these cards that you really want to start things off with. Especially because with a deck such as the Madolche, if your opponent starts things off with the Madolche, you just says, maybe they don't have so much going on, it would be better to activate it, but the Angeli is the field.
Talk to me a bit about the Madolche kind of goal here, because honestly, we've highlighted the Floowandareeze win condition. We've seen it time and time again in the competitive ladder inside ranked duels within the game as of recent. But Madolche, a little bit less common for us to see, and a little bit less common to get that level of analysis of.
Exactly. I really like the fact that Madolche is being played in this tournament, and also here we got the chance to see the Forbidden Droplet, which we previously saw from Diegub being playing against the Schattenspieler. And the card is very powerful because basically a deck such as the Floowandareeze that gets to normal summon its monster really need to get their resources on the field, and with the Forbidden Droplet being activated, you basically prevent them doing it. Now, of course, Diegub might be going for a next phase it's summon, and indeed he goes for the Baguska.
I like Baguska, the terribly tired tape
Exactly.
Probably the go-to level 4 Xyz for a lot of decks.
Yeah.
The negate is super useful.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this now that, you know, we have no more hand left for Diegub? The Madolche aspects of the deck are pretty much now relegated to the graveyard for the remainder of this turn. You think Doc 7's still in prime position to win?
I think he has a huge advantage, honestly. The lineup Diegub decided to go for, I think, was needed.
Oh.
Wow, Dark Looter no more is there. As I was mentioning to you guys, this is what he was really needing, because basically he didn't have much things going on, but with number 41 Baguska, he was able to shut down his opponent's strategy and at least gain a few turns. But with the Dark Looter being activated, this will mean that Doc 7 will most likely seal the game very, very soon.
The Barrow Statue is in the hand. Barrow Statue with Stormwinds, of course, going to lock everybody out of special summoning anything besides wind monsters. Very, very difficult prospect to get over. As far as I know, none of the Madolche monsters are wind type.
Yep.
Yep.
Funny enough.
Kind of unfortunate for the side of Diegub, actually, because what can you do?
I mean, in this situation, you really want and hope that your opponent don't have the Dark Looter no more. But
he did.
He did. And I really like the fact that the Madolche deck can rely on Madolche XYZ and Link summon plays, but at the same time, if the situation comes up like this case, he can basically bring up on the field the Baguska and shut down your opponent's strategy. Unfortunately for him, as we mentioned, the Dark Looter no more was there, which means that with all this Eagle, Rubina being activated, we will soon see maybe another normal summon being done by Doc 7, which is playing, you know, the old standard cards being played in the Floowandareeze deck, such as the Apex Avian, and the also is played, the
he actually
Apex
grabbed
Avian.
Riser the Mega Monarch.
Exactly,
yeah,
which
I am a big fan of Mist Valley Apex
Yeah.
Avian, actually. Really, really
And
prominent card.
Here comes the Riser the Mega Monarch. And once again, we are seeing how powerful the Floowandareeze deck, basically. And in general, I think playing against this deck, it's not only difficult, but facing up the Floowandareeze deck means that you will be playing against multiple resources being added continuously, a turn after another.
And then with Riser, very,
Yeah.
very difficult to get yourself out of
Yeah.
this situation now.
Because you're basically able to deal with your opponent field, not only with the Empen, but also having interruptions such as the Arpis Feather Storm we have seen before, forced Diegub going into the Baguska play, which is of course a very good one, but imagine if the Magilin would have resolved getting him more resources.
Yeah. And the normal summons keep coming, so the Floowandareeze and Robina returns to hand. It's going to continue for Doc 7.
This is keep going, and I think this is good stuff from him. You can see that Diego, of course, there's nothing else that he can do at the moment, being locked under the Dark Looter no more. He goes, Doc 7 goes into battle phase. He doesn't really need to push because he is controlling the game, and Diego is left at top deck.
Yeah, of course, Dark Ruler no more, meaning the battle damage is non-existent.
Yeah,
but you've used that turn that it bought you to set up and shut your opponent out completely. This is not going to be a fun draw for Diego.
Exactly. Let's see if he can find something out of his deck. It is going to be extremely difficult, of course, to come back into this game. He might Now he activates his Dreaming Town. He gets to summon another Floowandareeze monster, and I really like the way Doc 7 played. because in the turn before, Diegub didn't have any card in his hand, and basically now, with all these normal summons, he will be able to pass through Rise of the Mega Monarch once again.
It's making me a little bit curious as to what exactly did happen for Doc7 to drop that first match of his tournament.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm really curious about, because basically he lost against El Dojo del Duelista. He was playing Sword Soul, and in this kind of matchup, although I have to say that the Sword Soul deck is very powerful, have different line of plays with Synchro Monsters and Tennis cards, if you are able to set up your field with the Empen or the Arpis Feather Storm, or, for example, the Battle Statute of the Stormwinds, you're really in a very good position.
And there is the Mist Valley Apex Avion, pretty much shutting out whatever Diegub may place onto the field.
Yeah, this was very well played by Doc7. I really liked the setup. He also decided not to activate the Dreaming Town the turn before, just because he wanted to go for the Apex Avian, and indeed, Diegub just passed.
That is 6,400 points of damage at the moment.
Yeah.
The one kind of saving grace for Diegub is the fact that Floowandareeze monsters tend to not have that many attack points.
Yeah.
So he's got at least one more turn, you have to imagine, unless Doc7 really makes the magic happen with this next series of normal summons.
Exactly. And here...
he has Riser in hand, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's okay.
Exactly. And here, as you were mentioning, he is holding a copy of Rise of the Mega Monarch in his hand, which means that we will soon see Ryzen being summoned on the field, and because if we go battle phase, Diegub will be remaining with 100 life points, right? 54, 64 plus 13, 79. No, maybe I missed 54, 64 plus 13.
No,
It's
you're
not
right.
enough,
There will
right?
be 300 left.
He understood
they
it's
realized
not
that they miscalculated.
he miscalculated. Yeah, indeed, he is laughing. And Diegub is just hoping, you know. I don't think there's something that could save Diego. You can see Doc7 laughing about the miscalculation he did. Still, Diego couldn't find anything saving him. Enters battle phase.
And yeah, that is it. Doc7 taking the first game in his match against Diegub. The Floowandareeze triumphs over Madolche.
Very well played by Doc7. I mean, although he miscalculated his 300 life points, in the end, it really didn't matter. I think it's one of those very slight mistakes. It's not a big deal overall. Let's jump quickly to Schattenspieler and El Dojo del Duelista. I think he might be winning that game show we had just witnessed. But
I'm actually surprised that the Cyber Dragon deck did apparently manage to take down the Sword Soul decks.
Exactly. And apparently, it might be a 2-0 swift win for Schattenspieler.
Let's see how that shapes up. But speaking of seeing how things go, let's look at Doc7 versus Diegub, the rematch, as we move into game 2 of this match.
Now, Diegub starts things off with something that we have already seen before in his previous match. He will soon XYZ summon if he really feels like to. The most card that he has summoned this today, the Teacher Glass Soufflé. Let's see if he will decide indeed to go for that. I think this is the most start-down lineup usually with the Madolche, especially seeing the Magilene going first.
Yeah.
I think it's really good because you got the chance to special summon the Chocolat a la mode.
Yeah, the Chocolat a la mode, of course, being one of the core components for the earlier victory that Diegub did have.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't able to close out the match, he did still take a game, largely off the back of how effective that was at restoring his board.
Yeah, exactly.
Field, sorry.
And getting the Hoodkek on the field, I think will give him also a very nice advantage, because now with the Messengelato being summoned, he will be able to find most likely the Chateau. Diegub is considering it. Indeed, he gets the Madolche Chateau out of his deck. And once again, I think he might be considering going. We've seen him making the Link Summon before, which I think something that he could be doing. And indeed, he does.
And what is the kind of end goal for Madolche going first? Is this the board that you're looking for, or where do you go from here to really make sure that there's not a repeat of the first game of this match?
So usually what you're really aiming for is having on the field at least some kind of interruptions. What is really powerful and what I really like is the Madolche Promenade Drop card, which I think it's a very good addition to the deck. Overall, unfortunately, he's playing against Floowandareeze because the deck is also being able to getting Abyss Dweller, a very powerful card on the field. But of course, against Floowandareeze, it's not powerful because basically Floowandareeze doesn't play with graveyard interactions, such as a deck like Dragon Link or Spiral Dot, Salamangreat. The Abyss Dweller is super strong. Against Floowandareeze, though, it's not the choice to go for.
Yeah, so maybe kind of unfortunate for Diegub that he ended up in the same group as Doc 7 and Floowandareeze, but at the end of the day, he seems to be doing pretty okay for himself with the field that he has at the moment. Again, Xyz summoning the Teacher Glass Souffle from the extra deck.
Yeah, I think this makes a lot of sense. In this situation, he knows that the Abyss Dweller is not useful at all. And here he goes for another fresh C-Star, and I really like this star because basically with this setup he was able to also activate the Chateau and get back the Angeli, which is something that he's doing. And with this Chateau on the field, basically every single card sent to the graveyard gets back to your hand.
Yep.
And also what I really like is that with the Tiken being on the field and there's also the Salon, he gets basically all of these powerful resources, and with the Promenade as well, he gets the chance to either choose what is, end line will go, but the Angeli comes to the field. I mean, I think this is a very good turn one for Diegub. Of course, playing against a deck such as Floowandareeze, it's not always easy. But here he goes with Small World, okay, and he takes the Pancratops, which I really like, because basically Maxi is not useful at all.
No, absolutely understandable, because the Floowandareeze deck, of course, does not special summon, so yeah, totally fine. I am very curious to see how Doc 7 deals with the field that's currently presented itself against him. We have a couple of fairly formidable monsters, but as well as that, just the effects that are available right now. Talk to me about some of the disruptions that Diegub may have access to shut down some of Doc 7's plays.
So first of all, I think having on the field cards such as the Souffle is very powerful alongside with the Chateau. You really need something such as the Promenade or the Madolche Knight as interruptions. Here, the Pot of Prosperity might be very powerful, because basically, if we see a Dark Looter no more... Okay. Dark Looter, wow. Okay. He has so many options, because if he has already his pieces of engine in the hand, he might be taking the Dark Looter no more. And otherwise, if he's really missing some pieces, he might be getting the Eagle. I think I saw while he was revealing the cards. He has a lot of options, and I think starting things off with Prosperity with a deck like Floowandareeze it really gets you the advantage of, let's say, adjusting your hand. If you're missing a piece, basically you get to add it, and then you can start normal summoning your monsters.
Yeah.
Or the other way around, if you're really looking for a sort of interaction such as Dark Ruler No More, that's the case, you get it. And here, I think, if Doc 7 has at least 2 pieces in his hand, he might be going for the Dark Ruler, which is something that he does.
Mm-hmm.
I think here, Diegub, though, it's worth mentioning that he might have gone for the Baguska play, but this is paying off in the sense that he didn't do it, and of course he could have not known that the Pot of Prosperity would have revealed a Dark Ruler No More.
Yeah.
But in this sense, he could have played differently, summoning on the Baguska, having less monsters on the field, and if basically now would be against a Floowandareeze wall, I
mean,
would say.
Regardless of how this plays out, the fact that he's been able to force Doc 7 to commit so many resources just to, well, so far nothing has been removed anyway, just to even stay in this game is really, really promising for Diegub, and does mean that we now see the potential for this to go to a Game 3 pretty handily. Yeah,
and now he's going to activate the Robina. He's going to resolve also the Eagle. Let's see, because having also the map on the field is usually something that you're really looking for while playing the Floowandareeze deck. It really depends if Diegub has any sort of interruption in his hand. He might be holding some Ash Blossom, for example. We know that he took the Dino Wrestler Pancratops, let's say, as a sort of, I would say, insurance. Like in case Doc 7 is able to come back and deal with this field, which is impressive, we have to say. If he's able to do so, then he has the Pancratops to deal with Empen, for example, and then the Chateau being on the field basically gives him the opportunity to get back cards that would be sent to the graveyard. Yeah,
very much a difficult situation for Doc 7 to be in because of the amount of access to cards that have already been used from Diegub. It's really, really difficult to get out of this situation, but that being said, Doc 7, he's started his combo. He may very well follow it through. So, you're Diegub here. How do you maintain the kind of grip that you have on this game right now? How do you stop whatever this Floowandareeze deck is about to do?
So now, okay. He goes for Rise of the Mega Monarch instead of going for the Empen. This is very interesting because basically he wants to get rid of the Chocolat à la mode. And I think it also makes sense that Doc 7 decides to put back the Pot of Prosperity on top of his deck, which is, I think, is a smart move. Because just in case it's there for his next turn. And now, Diegub, I think, here is playing well, activating the Madolche Promenade.
Yeah, Promenade, of course, just kind of sealing the deal here. Really have to consider Diegub being in very much control of this field right now and control of the game.
I think once again it's worth mentioning how Diegub played out this game, because going for the Baguska, of course, it's very powerful, but against Dark Ruler No More we saw in game 1 how disruptive it was, and playing it off differently with all the Madolche cards on the field, and then with the Madolche Promenade, basically he prevented the Dark Ruler No More being as impactful as it was in game 1. And here I think he played it out very well, because he gets the Magellan, he also gets another one with the Salon, which is another Promenade on the field, and although we have to mention that the Floowandareeze deck is known for making so many card advantages. We have to say and give credit to Diegub that is now leading the card advantage situation.
Yeah, very, very difficult situation for Doc 7 to be in. That being said, the Rise of the Mega Monarch did just establish itself.
He did his job, and now, of course, Doc 7 he's considering basically how to get out of this situation, but play is back to Diegub, which I think is holding 7 cards. Quite
he
quite
has
a
few
lot.
options available to him, you have to imagine. The first of which will be that activate effect from
the Chocolat à la mode.
Chocolat à la mode.
And here what I really like about this is that basically you get to chain link all of your effects every time a Madolche card gets activated with the ticket and the salon. You make so much advantage that is really getting out of control, because basically now Diegub not only has the Madolche prominent on the field, but also the Madolche Knight, which is a very powerful counter trap card. And I think Doc 7 already knows that this game is going for Diegub's side. Still far from over. Now he goes for the Teacher Glass Souffle effect, and also the oat cake that will bring back soon one Madolche monster.
Yeah, some very, very, very promising games we're getting today, actually, as we do see presumably another match go to a third game.
And I also like, once again, Harpy's Featherstorm being activated. I think we can safely say that as per now it is the MVP.
Yeah, Harpy's Feather Duster definitely the one. I don't know if it was the most effective there.
Yeah,
but
still, it's I think we have seen it quite a few times already this weekend. Something that always, you know.
Madolche Queen Tiramisu.
And here comes the Tiramisu, which makes me think that Diegub is going for game.
So, from what I can infer, from what you've told me, from what we've seen so far, Madolche Queen Tiramisu is more like the very, very final finisher for the deck. It's a luxury once you've got to that final game state where you're able to then just seal the deal.
Yeah, because basically in your very first turn you really want to see on play the Chocolat à la mode with the Chateau. Diegub wins game 2, which means we will be having a game 3 coming up very soon. I'm super excited, honestly, because Diegub played very, very well, we have to say.
And you know, both of these decks were dominant in their victories, so this has just become incredibly competitive between the two of them. I'm really excited to see how it plays out, and speaking of being excited to see how things play out, we have another game playing out as we speak.
If I'm not mistaken, but here again Diegub starts things off with Angeli, and Ash Blossom gets chained. And now, is he passing? No, is he passing? Wow. Unfortunately, the only thing that Diegub could have gone through was the Angeli. He goes for the Ash Blossom on the terraforming, which means that if Doc 7 doesn't have any other sort of normal summon or pieces missing,
we could see another pass.
We might be seeing another pass, because basically we can see, you know, Diegub, you know, shaking his head, because unfortunately the only starting card for him was the Madolche Angeli. Ash Blossom resolves. Let's see. Wow. Okay. This is very, very powerful. This is the first time that we see the Unexplored win in action this weekend. But wow, but also looks like that Doc 7 doesn't have anything going on, and so there's still hope for Diegub. Does he have an Harpy's Feather Storm? Does he have an Harpy's Feather Duster? And he has it. Wow. He gets the chance to see.
Cross out designator.
And he crossed out designator. Wow. On the Harpy's Feather Duster being activated. Once again, how powerful would have been the Harpy's Feather Duster here to clear Dock 7 spell and trap cards. We have to say that the Unexplored Winds is a very powerful card to shuffle back cards into their deck and draw fresh ones, but looks like that both players didn't have much going on, but Magilene is here. Diegub is considering it because basically both players started things off very slowly.
Yeah.
There was an Ash Blossom being activated on both sides, but here I think, yeah, he enters battle phase and we will soon see Diegub end his turn. Yeah, he ends his turn. Dock 7, wow, he's shaking his hands once again, and I'm wondering what could he have drawn?
Yeah, it will be interesting to see if we can get any kind of field presence established for the Floowandareeze deck here. Apparently not.
Incredible. Once again, we are seeing this very slow game, but now Diegub might be having the chance to push and see if he might be having enough, because with the Angeli being on the field, now let's see if this Angeli resolves. Looks like he's resolving it, which is very powerful, and we have seen him doing this couple of times already this weekend, putting up on the field multiple pieces, and I think either here he might be considering also to go for the Queen Tiramisu to shuffle back both Dock 7 cards.
Yeah.
Let's see what he decides to do with the Petting Saucer. He goes, okay, with the Stardust lineup, the Teacher Glass Souffle, we have seen him making this all the times.
Yep.
I think this is the safest choice for him.
So both these players not really in the most optimal of positions right now. Really just trying to get something back for themselves. Speaking of getting back though, the entirety of the graveyard almost on the side of Diegub just shuffled right back into that deck.
Yeah. And also another important fact to be considering is that the Madolche Chateau gives all Madolche monsters 500 attack. And now, once again, we will be seeing the Chocolalamo being summoned. Battle phase. And Diegub will be leaving Dock 7 with 1,700 life points left. Dock 7 needs something out of his deck. Will he be able to draw any of his Floowandareeze cards?
Potentially, judging by his reaction on the player cam, he isn't too upset. Oh.
Well, I mean, he must not be happy with the last two draws he had, especially because Floowandareeze, we know that it is a very powerful deck, but in this situation can be fragile.
It's very, very difficult to overcome what Dock 7 is currently facing.
Yeah.
Even with the Unexplored Winds on the field, it's... yeah. This is going to be a difficult one for Dock 7 and his Floowandareeze deck.
Okay, here comes the Eagle. So, let's see.
I believe he has M-Pen in hand. Or, okay, no, he's grabbing it now. Okay, fine.
What I really like, though, about the Unexplored Wind on the field is that basically you are able to normal summon, use Tributic Summon using your opponent's monster. So what I really like is basically using Diegub's monster, but he is chaining the Promenade, which is something that I really like in this specific situation.
Yeah, Advent of Adventure getting negated is really really unfortunate for Dock 7. Credit to Diegub actually for for having the patience to wait for that.
Yeah, and in this case, we got to see the map being activated. In the first games, it started things off with the Floowandareeze and Advent of Adventure. The field spell is super powerful, but now we get the chance to seeing the Unexplored Wind being activated. So basically, it gets back to the deck the M-Pen to draw another card, but the end phase is here. Doc7 is shaking his hand. Diegub knows that he will be sealing this game by entering into battle phase. Normal summon Maxi. Enter battle phase and attacks. This was very well played by Diegub, but we have seen a very, very nice match by these guys. Very good stuff. And Diegub is the winner of this match.
And wow, that was
very good stuff.
Certainly a match. Yeah. Really, really dominant victory from Doc7 earlier with the Floowandareeze, but then ultimately Diegub just bounced back.
Exactly.
Madolche all the way. And actually, speaking of Diegub, Ed has him on stage for an interview.
Congratulations, how are you feeling?
Thank you. It's feeling incredible to beat the Rubina, because the Rubina is the pure evil of this game. I really can't win against the Rubina.
Well, you just did. That's the thing.
Yeah, but that was fortunate.
Wow.
But it was all fault about Maxi.
Really?
Maxi attacking for game, it was fantastic in my opinion.
Well, it was a really, really interesting game to watch. There were a couple of moments where you were Dark Ruler no more over the Baguska for that first game, but then for the next two, you just built a very strong field. That next one, it seemed like Doc7 just didn't really have the cards he needed. Also, I loved some of the theatrics we were seeing from you with the Harpy's Feather Duster and a lot of the sweeping.
I love to do that because
that's what we like to see.
We need to have fun here.
Of course, we said.
Dark Ruler was really strong. Baguska was the plan B, but I mean, trap cards are a thing. Madolche. Machadolche.
There we go. So, that means you've got one win, one loss. So there's still a chance if you win your next game that you'll get into the top cut. Are you feeling anxious or are you feeling confident?
Very anxious.
Really?
My opponent will play Sorcerer, which is a very good deck. And I only need to believe in my cards, in the heart of the cards.
So we like to hear.
Yeah.
Believe in the heart of the cards and perhaps...
Hyugi.
Exactly. Well, Diegub, congratulations on winning this.
Thank you.
Best of luck against that Sword Soul 10-Yi deck.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be very exciting to see what happens. We have even more duels coming your way very, very shortly. We still have a second match going up. We've got our next feature match also being set up. So why don't we cut back to some of that card game action here at the Master Duel.